For those of you that have been watching the channel for a while, you might have noticed that the studio has undergone quite a few changes over time. From new equipment to the shelving behind me to the location in which I work, I've done absolutely everything I can to maximize the space in which I work. So rather than just sit here and talk to you about my setup, why don't I take you on a personal tour from my perspective and just talk to you about it? Well, that sounds good to me, so you're coming with me. All right, so here we go. Here's my studio, aka my apartment. So before we get started talking about each part of my setup, I wanted to let you know that everything I'm going to talk about in terms of components, such as this camera I'm using, my PC, my monitors, my peripherals, the setup behind me, whatever, I'm going to have everything that's super important all down in the description below. You're going to find a link to all the kit links that I have for my channel. So if you want to see what type of PC I use and all the parts, it's all gonna be right there. So the camera I'm using is the Canon M200, and I have that camera usually sitting right here when I'm doing my videos and my streams. And it simply just connects to one of these little micro HDMI cables. It's a really simple setup, but like I said, if you're new to DSLR cameras, it definitely takes some time to get all of the autofocusing and all of the ISO lighting and everything together. I'm eventually gonna make a video on it, but for now, just know that if you want to get into a DSLR camera, it's going to cost you about $500 if you're really wanting to get a good one. So once again, I apologize if there's any background noise, there's people doing yard work, but I do stream in my apartment, so it's definitely a little bit of a tight space, but I make it work to the best of my ability. And how I did that was I had to completely think about the space I'm using. So right now, if you take a look, obviously I don't have a lot of space. I had to basically use the back of my living room to set this up. And how I decided to do that, because my desk used to be over here on this side, right underneath these posters, and I didn't like it because you could see these windows, which were obviously messing with my lighting, as well as this cat tree. So that's an infamous joke in my channel, is that I used to stream in front of my cat tree. So this is where my cat Alice sits. So if you're familiar with seeing Alice on the channel, this is my baby girl, my little butthead other cat, Winchester. He's down here somewhere. Winnie, say hello. No, he said hello, so there you go. Okay, so starting off with my triple monitor display, I have one monitor in portrait mode and I've got two landscape monitors, and they are all resting on these North Bay U arm mounts. These things are freaking phenomenal. I love these things. So this leftmost monitor is actually a 24-inch Dell monitor. It's a 1080p display. This one is a BenQ 24-inch 1080p display as well. And then this is my main gaming monitor I use, and it's a 27-inch Dell 1440p 155 hertz. All right, so kind of going from the monitor, and this is Alice again. Yep, she's just loves being on my desk, so you're gonna have to see her for most of the video. But going over to the microphone, I had the Elgato Wave. This is the newest addition to my setup, and I'm gonna be doing a review on this. Even though I know there's a bunch of reviews out there right now, I figured I have an interesting perspective on my first initial experiences, coming from something like a Blue Yeti, which is what I was using before. So you'll see a video on that very soon. Now we're gonna go down to the keyboard. This is actually a Black Widow Razer Elite keyboard. So this has been a freaking phenomenal keyboard. I love it. And this is some random light from Amazon. There's no point even really kind of going into that. And if we come over here, we've got my mouse, which is a Logitech G Pro wireless. I think it's the $129 version. It's freaking phenomenal. It lasts forever. I've only had to charge this like maybe 2 or 3 times since I bought it several months ago. It's freaking phenomenal. So this right here is just basically a USB 3.0 extension I use for flash drives or my Xbox controller thing. Also got a Stream Deck Mini here that I use quite a bit. I really want a bigger Stream Deck, but right now I don't have any real need for one, but eventually I will be getting one, but that works for now. And this right here is a special device I'm going to be doing a review on. I'm not going to go too much into it, but basically this is a Korg Nano Mini, and this basically allows me to have faders similar to a Go XLR on my microphone. So if you're interested in getting a fader device that's all run on USB so that we can run it with your USB microphone, definitely stay tuned to the channel and subscribe, because we're going to be going over this device so you can actually see how it works in action. Alright, so talking about the PC right here, this is actually not my original PC that I started off with when I first started streaming. I actually have upgraded this over time, and basically the outside case is a Lee Dynamic 11. So if you're looking for a great case, this thing is freaking phenomenal. It looks great and I love every minute of it. So talking about the fans, I'll show them over here when I go to throw my boxes off, but basically they're all Cooler Master fans. These right down here are all in one bracket, three bracket fans. So the graphics card is a Nvidia RTX 2070 Super Founders Edition. I have an AMD 3900X as my CPU, along with, like I said, the Cooler Master Liquid AIO. And I've got 32 gigs of Corsair Vengeance RAM at 3600 speed right there, 4 slots. For storage, I have an M.2 in here, as well as 2 other SATA SSDs. But for my massive bulk footage storage, I have this Western Digital 8 terabyte external hard drive that's connected straight to the computer. So lastly, for the lights, I have 2 Dasny lights. They've been freaking phenomenal. So if you're hesitant about investing into lights, Dasny's a great barrier to entry. Both these lights cost me $200. They've been freaking great. One sits right here on the back of my setup to be able to light up behind the camera, and then the other one is my fill light right over here on the right. All right, so let's talk about this back area here. So if you were watching my streams a long time ago, I used to use a green screen, and it was this one. So this is an Elgato green screen. This thing is actually really nice, but if you're looking for a green screen, the Elgato is nice. It's compact, it goes right away, and it's really a freaking great green screen. Okay, so now to talk about my shelves and everything going on back here. So back here, I'm gonna have the links to the lights down in the description. Like I said, they're just some simple LED lights I got off Amazon. So right here, I have my Batman v Superman posters, and if you know anything about me, I'm a huge Batman fan. Obviously, you can see I've got my little Batman doll and my collector's edition Batman set, which I'll go over with in just a second. But I'm a huge fan of the Batman v Superman movie. I know it's controversial, but I loved it. And these are 2 of my favorite posters I have in my collection. I got them from a store called Five Below a long time ago. So if you're interested or have a Five Below in your location, I don't think you can get this anymore, but they do carry some posters that are pretty cool. So a lot of this stuff on my shelf right here, I go over on my stream all the time. And if you're curious about backstory and all these things, then you can definitely pop in there, but I'll give you a few headliners. So this is my Star Wars VHS collection. So it's very rare. It's from, like, I think it's one of the originals. I mean, it's very old. And then right here, I've got my Harry Potter Collector's Edition box sets. I'm a huge collector, so that's one thing you'll see about me going through this stuff is I love collecting like my favorite series or movies or anything like that. You'll see me have like different collector's versions of each, not just the simple DVDs. So like these took me 6 or 7 months to find every single one, and it was all by luck, and I got super lucky. This right here is a gift. This is actually local to my state that I live in. I live in the state of South Carolina. So this is actually a local beer here. This right here is a Batman bank I got a long time ago. I don't remember where I got it from, but I love it. This is the Dark Knight Collector's Edition. It's very rare. I found it. I think it's whatever number that is out of however many, so you can see that. So it's very rare. Obviously, I got my Batman v Superman steelbook case. I have a lot of steelbooks in my collection. This was from my buddy E-Rock on Deck, so you'll see, you can go to his YouTube channel, check him out. That's gonna be down in the description, but he gave me this as a gift from Japan. Also got my other Dragon Ball Z stuff right there, so that's Dragon Ball Z Resurrection of F. And then I've got all of my Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball, so starting with Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z to Dragon Ball GT, I've got the entire collection right here. So the rest of, I think, Dragon Ball Super I have all on digital. So we're gonna come down here, and this is actually my collector's edition shelf of all the different movie franchises I really like. Obviously, I got some up there, but these are really my babies. So I've got my Nightmare on Elm Street collector's DVD edition right here. This is my first Dark Knight box set before I bought the big one up there, and I showed that one off more. These are my collector's edition extended versions of the Lord of the Rings movies, so those are really cool, and obviously I've got the 2 Deadpool movies on steelbook right there. Another gift from my buddy E-Rock on Deck, so I've got that on there from him. And then these are all my Marvel steelbooks that I've got so far. I think I'm 4 away from having every single one because I have the Avengers collector's edition with all 4 in there. This is the Age of Ultron version of that as well. Resident Evil is my favorite gaming and also one of my favorite movie franchises. As bad as these movies were, I do love them. And then Halloween is my favorite horror franchise of all time, so I've got my little shrine there for that. All right, so now let's come down here and talk about my Xbox collection. I used to be a really big Xbox gamer, so I have everything from the Xbox One to the 360 all the way to the Xbox. Like I said, I'm a huge collector, so you'll see a theme here. I've got a lot of my original games that I had when I first bought my Xbox, or when I bought them on Xbox. So I've got like Max Payne and the KOTOR, or Knights of the Old Republic, Combat Desert Storm, Medal of Honor, Dynasty Warriors. You know, these are my two favorite games on the original Xbox, the Knights of the Old Republic 2 and San Andreas. So those are obviously on display. Then you come over to my 360 games, and it's a similar theme where I've got my Elder Scrolls Oblivion that does not work, but I kept it, and also my Fallout New Vegas that doesn't work, but I kept it. So I have 2 extra copies of that. So I got an Oblivion right there to replace, and then a Fallout New Vegas to replace. But this is the only Steelbook game I have, and I may or may not have borrowed that, so don't tell anybody. So then come over here and we'll talk about my Xbox One games. I got Resident Evil 7, which is my favorite Xbox One game of all time. Then we've got Destiny, which is a cult classic for me. I played the mess out of that and got a lot of time out of it. But my secret baby, and I know it's controversial, but I love Call of Duty Ghost. It was my first Xbox One game that I actually really enjoyed, so it has a special place in my heart. And then I've got everything else. You know, I've got Red Dead and Gears of War and all the traditional Xbox One games there. Then on this bottom shelf is a bunch of miscellaneous things. The sun's coming in now. I got my Legend of Zelda DS XL, so that's a pretty cool little collector's edition. And then my favorite show of all time is Everybody Loves Raymond, but unfortunately it didn't fit the theme up top, so it gets room on the bottom shelf, but it is still great. And then I've also got my Mr. Bean collector's edition, because Mr. Bean is my favorite comedy. This is my old PC. This stuff is going to be going to a friend of mine to do his first PC build, so we'll be using a lot of my components there, including the Red Devil 5700 XT here, as well as the 3600 Ryzen 3600 CPU here. All right, so now to the fun shelf, and I illuminated a little bit more so we can see what's going on here. So this is not my original Xbox One or my original Xbox that I got when I was a kid. I sold that, but this is a replacement. I've had this for quite a while, and that's obviously not part of it. It's just part of the aesthetic. So that's great. I have an original Xbox One here. I've got my Xbox 360 here with my original Turtle Beach Call of Duty 2 Black Ops 2 headset. It's worn out, obviously you can tell, but this was actually a fun headset for me. I was able to do a lot of voice changing things with this thing. Very revolutionary. I know it's tore up, but I love it. This is a Gears of War edition, Xbox 360 as well, so it was a pretty cool buy for me. Then this is not my original Xbox One Day One edition, but this is a Xbox Elite that I upgraded to after a while with a Titanfall headset, the original Titanfall, as well as a Titanfall controller that I have here, and then also the original Xbox Kinect right here. And then of course we've got the Elite controller right here. It's in this little packaging right here. I'm not going to take it out, but that's the original Elite controller. Then we come to the Xbox One X right here. So I got that with the Turtle Beach headset, as well as the Scorpio Edition controller right there. Then we come down to this shelf, and this is where all of my PC components go for the next 2 shelves, and we're going to talk about this one first. So this is where you can obviously see the Korg Nano Mini box, kept that. This is my B450 motherboard, which I didn't talk about my PC, but that's what my motherboard is. Here's my 3900X CPU box. Stream Deck Mini, obviously, my 2070 Super box. That's my power supply, the Ripjaws 850 gold modular power supply. This is the liquid AIO I went with for my PC build from Cooler Master, as well as these fans. These are amazing. So Lee & Lee came out with something similar to this that connects and detaches, but this was really unique and awesome, and I bought it. So this is my internal capture card I use for my camera. It's a little overkill, but I wanted something I could use for not just my camera, so I can potentially play games on it. So I went with the 4K 60 Pro. It's been phenomenal. Great internal capture card. Then there's my Wave 3 box, obviously. Then we come down here, and this is kind of where the last little bit of my PC stuff is. I got my Canon M200 that I'm using right now. My Blue Yeti, my old Blue Yeti microphone I used for a long time. This thing was great, but it crapped out on me for some reason. There's my G Pro wireless Logitech box. My original Razer Kraken headset that I bought, which is right over there as well. Bungee thing that I had for quite a while. My original Razer Naga Trinity mouse. This thing is amazing. It swaps out components. This one does, and I've had 2 of these, so that's how much I've loved the mouse. My Xbox connector. This is my original first keyboard that I ever bought for PC. So I've been playing PC for a lot longer than I've been playing recently. But this was my old original one. Let me see Winchester over here having a good time. You enjoying yourself, buddy? So, and then down here, lastly, I have all my original Xbox boxes right here. So I got my Gears of War Edition box right there, my Scorpio Edition box right there for the Xbox One. Then right here, I've got my Xbox Elite box, and then right here, my original Day One Edition Xbox box. So this was the first game console that I ever bought day one. Pre-ordered, went to the store, picked it up, and bought it. It was my first time ever doing it. It was great. I loved it. The Scorpio Edition was definitely a close second. That's some Dust fan thing. Just ignore that. But yeah, so these definitely hold a really awesome place in my heart. But and if you're wondering what the lights are, I have a box back here. The lights that are up here for the shelf, that's these guys right here. These Minger lights right here. They're pretty inexpensive. You can find them on Amazon. These work really well, so I can leave a link for those as well in the description as well. So one last thing I forgot to mention. So if you're ever wondering how I do the behind the scenes look for my stream, this is the Logitech C920. This is my original camera that I use for streaming. And it basically has a huge extension cable that wraps all the way back there and goes through that little carpet. That's why that's there to my PC. So that's how that works. And I am actually still a fitness guy, so I have all my supplements at the top shelf. You can't see them on stream, but everything that I use for the gym or anything is up here. If you ever have any questions about that part of my life, you're more than happy to ask me anything you'd like on stream. I'm not gonna go over it here. All right, so that's it for my studio tour for now. I'm gonna be going back to the PC to finish up this video, but for sure we're gonna be upgrading to a new apartment here very soon that's gonna have multiple bedrooms, which is gonna be nice because I'm gonna have an actual full room dedicated to streaming and making YouTube videos. But for now, I wanted to make this video so that way I could look back on it hopefully next year sometime after I've got my new setup and be like, man, I've come so far, and hopefully we can all celebrate that together. But for now, let's go back to the PC. Thank you guys for checking out this video, and if you really enjoyed it, make sure you hit the like button. It really helps me out a lot. Also, just as a reminder, I do stream on Twitch, so if you want to ask me anything about the things you saw in this video, such as stuff from my background, my setup, or even anything content creation related, because we do a lot of videos about that on this channel, feel free to hop in. My schedule is usually on my Discord or my Twitter. But alright guys, that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, we'll see you next time. What? I didn't even ask anything. You just said something. Ah! What the frick? I didn't expect that. No. Oh my God, what the freak?